Let's jump right into this explainer and drop directly into the middle of an everyday family conversation. No preamble, just pure context. Let's see if you can keep up with Chapter 5, Ted Goes Out for the Evening.
Ted calls out, "See you later, Mom." Susan asks, "Where are you going, Ted?" Ted replies, "I told Amber I'd drop by."
Susan asks, "What are you two gonna do?" Ted answers, "Maybe go to the movies or to a party. Our plans are still up in the air."
Susan suggests, "Why don't you invite her over here?" Ted says, "I don't want to hang around here. Dad is really down in the dumps."
Susan asks, "Is Amber the girl with the nose ring and the purple hair?" Ted replies, "Yeah, I'm crazy about her."
Susan warns, "Don't take this the wrong way, but she's not exactly my cup of tea." Ted shoots back, "Take it easy, Mom. We're not about to get married. We just enjoy hanging out together."
Susan sighs. "I guess there's no accounting for taste. Have a good time." Ted says, "Don't worry, we'll have a blast." And Susan mutters under her breath, "That's what I'm afraid of."
Okay, pause. Did all of that just go way over your head? If you were tracking that, we just threw a super dense conversation at you, absolutely packed with everyday idioms. Actually, there were 10 of them squeezed into that tiny exchange. Now, if you're thinking, great, another dry list of conversational phrases I have to memorize, absolutely not. Trying to rote memorize a list like that is practically impossible, and frankly, it's boring. Instead, I've got a brilliant decoding technique for you today that completely ditches those static flashcards.
We're going to lock every single one of those phrases into your brain permanently. How? By building a spatial memory palace. If you're familiar with memory expert Tony Buzan, you know this method relies on 3 incredibly simple but powerful pillars: linking, association, and exaggeration. The whole secret here is that your brain easily forgets normal, boring things. But ridiculous, loud, highly exaggerated things, those stick with you forever.
So here is what we're going to do. Close your eyes for a second. I want you to imagine simply walking out of your front door and heading down your driveway to your car. We are going to map Ted's entire chaotic evening directly onto this perfectly familiar 3D space. You already have this physical route hardwired into your brain, right? Let's step out the front door and actually build this out.
All right, you're stepping out your front door. Remember, we have to make these mental images as absurd as possible. Our first phrase is up in the air, which means plans are totally undecided. So you open your front door, look out, and your car isn't on the ground. You look up and your car is literally floating 50 feet straight up in the air above your driveway. You're just standing there on your porch, staring at it in complete disbelief. That visual? That is up in the air.
Now you look down at the welcome mat right beneath your feet. We need to lock in the phrase hang around, meaning to wait or spend time idly doing nothing. Picture a massive, giant sloth lying right there on your mat, flat out refusing to move. It's perfectly linking that physical location to the phrase. That giant sloth is literally just hanging around on your welcome mat, looking incredibly bored and totally blocking your path.
You step over the sloth and walk past the trash can on your way down the driveway. Let's use some extreme exaggeration for our next phrase, down in the dumps, which means feeling really sad. I want you to vividly visualize your own dad sitting right inside that giant, smelly metal trash can. It's a literal dump, and he is just sitting in the garbage looking terribly sad and depressed. It's a completely bizarre, kind of funny image, but I guarantee you won't forget what down in the dumps means.
Okay, you finally reach the car. What's really interesting here is how we can associate opening the car door with a massive sensory explosion. We're locking in the phrase, crazy about, which means to really, really like something. The second you pull that door handle, you see that the driver's seat is completely covered in hundreds of tiny, pulsating, glowing red hearts. It's like the car is literally crazy about you.
So you sit down in those hearts and glance up at the rearview mirror. This specific spot holds the phrase, take this the wrong way, meaning to be offended by a remark. Physically imagine the jarring sensation of adjusting that mirror, but instead of seeing the road behind you, it's pointing directly at your own face. Suddenly, a giant cartoon hand reaches right out of the glass and violently pokes you in the eye. Why? Simply because you took something the wrong way.
Next, you look straight down at the dashboard. This is where we anchor the idiom cup of tea, meaning something you prefer or really enjoy. I want you to see the loudest, most ridiculous image possible. A giant, steaming porcelain teacup resting right there on the plastic dash. But instead of Earl Grey tea,
Amber's head, complete with the purple hair and the nose ring, is literally bobbing around, swimming inside that literal cup of tea. Now reach out and grab the steering wheel to remember the phrase, take it easy. Emphasizing the weird tactile feeling here is absolutely key. Imagine gripping the wheel, but instead of hard leather or plastic, it is made of this soft, squishy, gross jelly. It totally wobbles in your hands as you squeeze it, and a strange voice actually echoes out of the jelly itself, literally telling you to, hey, take it easy.
Pan your eyes right over to the radio. This spot brilliantly illustrates the concept of hanging out. Picture a group of tiny, miniature people, maybe the size of your thumb, literally dangling from the volume and tuning knobs by their absolute fingertips. They are physically hanging out from the dials on your car stereo, swinging back and forth, just trying not to fall onto the floor mats.
Go ahead and pop open the glove box. We're linking this compartment to the phrase, there's no accounting for taste, which means people like things that other people find totally strange. You open that little door to reveal something completely gross, just a disgusting collection of smelly old socks and crawling bugs. And right above this horrific mess is a bright neon warning sign flashing the words, there's no accounting for taste. It perfectly proves the idiom right there in your car.
Finally, you turn the key to start the engine, and our mental journey moves to the exhaust pipe for our final phrase. The exact moment the engine turns over, the exhaust pipe erupts into a violent blast of massive booming fireworks. Just brightly colored confetti shooting everywhere across your driveway. This cements our final phrase, have a blast, completely effortlessly through a massive, loud visual explosion. And you know, this whole exercise brilliantly illustrates the sheer incredible power of spatial memory. By simply taking a quick mental walk down your own driveway and picturing those highly exaggerated, totally ridiculous images, you've just effortlessly linked 10 complex English phrases. Your brain naturally holds onto this 3D space way better than it ever could a static list of definitions. You now hold the key to limitless recall. So, I'll leave you with one final thought as we wrap up today's explainer. With hundreds of familiar rooms, childhood homes, and office buildings already perfectly mapped and stored in your memory right now, which empty room in your own mind will you use to master your next big challenge?